Most people, when they talk, they just want to be heard, right? Just filling the air. But if you're in a leadership role, talking just to be heard isn't enough. You have to talk to be remembered.
That's a really key distinction.
Yeah, think about it. If your words don't really carry weight, if they don't have that certainty, what actually happens to your big ideas, your plans, your influence just kind of vanishes, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that's really the mission for this deep dive today. We've looked at sources that, they treat communication very seriously, like a core leadership discipline, not just some soft skill.
Okay.
So we're distilling that down into maybe 3 immediate shifts you can make: ownership, clarity, and control. It's all about building a voice that commands respect, without needing to shout about it.
Right, respect, not volume. Okay, let's dig into that first one, ownership. The research seems pretty clear here. Leadership kind of starts when you fully own what you say, like with total confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't, you're basically just making noise. And, noise doesn't move people. It definitely doesn't build trust.
And that confidence piece, it's interesting. It's almost never about being the loudest person in the room.
Right.
It's really about believing your own words.
Right.
Standing firmly behind them. And that means, critically, you have to cut out what some sources call halfway speaking.
Halfway speaking, like what?
Those little phrases we use, I think, or maybe this, or, I guess they instantly dilute the message.
That sounds weak.
Exactly. You're signaling doubt before the idea even lands. And nobody really commits to following someone who sounds unsure of themselves.
Okay, but hang on. Doesn't stating things so definitively make you feel, exposed? What if you're wrong? You risk looking foolish or getting pushback.
Well, yes. And that risk, that's precisely the point, according to the sources. That kind of soft language, the maybes and I thinks, it's often just ego protection. We use it because we're afraid of being wrong, or maybe afraid of being disliked. But leadership communication isn't primarily about being liked. It's about being crystal clear. You prioritize understanding over popularity, I suppose.
To be clear, not liked. Okay, so if owning it means having that inner conviction, then the next step has to be packaging it right, which logically brings us to clarity.
Yes, the clarity command. And it's not about using complex jargon or fancy vocabulary to sound smart.
Wow.
No, it's actually the opposite. It's purely about being understood, removing ambiguity. We found that unclear words just lead to unclear thoughts in your audience. Confusion.
And that's where influence breaks down, right? People just tune out.
Exactly. And the main symptom of that lack of clarity, it's almost always over-explaining, rambling.
Oh, definitely. If you can say it in 5 words, don't use 15. It feels like the speaker doesn't trust their own point sometimes.
That's a great way to put it. Over-explaining often signals doubt. Strong leaders, they lean on precision. Conciseness, they respect the listener's attention. Dragging things out just wastes that attention and poof, influence gone.
Okay, ownership, clarity. That leads us then to the third pillar, control. This one feels a bit more internal.
It absolutely is. The research consistently points to this. Your voice is basically a mirror reflecting your inner state.
How so?
Well, if your voice is shaky or your pitch goes way up when you're stressed, people hear that. They hear the nervousness, maybe anger, maybe even your own lack of belief. And if they hear that instability, they won't trust you when the real pressure hits.
That makes sense. So how do we actually achieve that steady external control? Because that's where it gets really interesting, right? The practical side.
Right. And control really starts with self-awareness, but also physiology. Simple things like slowing down your breathing. It actually makes your voice physically stronger, steadier.
Okay, breathing.
But here's the technique that really stood out in the sources. It's about using silence strategically.
Silence, you mean just stopping talking?
Yeah. You deliver an important point, a key message, and then you pause. You just stop. Don't immediately rush to fill that quiet space.
That feels counterintuitive.
It can feel that way. But that deliberate silence, it does something powerful. It shifts the focus, gives the message weight, allows it to actually land and settle in the listener's mind. That silence can speak just as loudly as your words.
Wow. Okay. Ownership, clarity, control. That makes sense. But ultimately, isn't the goal of leadership communication? Well, action.
Yeah.
Getting people to do something.
Exactly. It has to create movement.
Yeah.
Your words can't just occupy time. They need to lead somewhere. They need to prompt action.
So how do you make that happen? What's the strategy?
Well, Often, the most effective way is to speak directly to the real issues, the pain points, the shared frustrations, maybe that tough decision everyone's been avoiding.
So less inspiration, more directness.
Sometimes, yes. The sources actually argue that honest confrontation delivered calmly, without anger, mind you, can be way more powerful than just rah-rah inspiration.
Yeah.
It means facing reality head on. Look, this is the problem, here's what we need to do next.
Yeah.
But, and this is crucial, none of it works if your actions don't line up. People watch what you do far more than they listen to what you say. Your life, your example, that has to match the message.
Walk the talk. Got it. So let's try to wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here? It seems like shifting from just being heard to actually being remembered. It demands real discipline.
It does. Discipline in owning your words completely, seeking absolute clarity in how you express them, and mastering that emotional control, especially when things get tough.
Right. Discipline, not just talent.
And maybe here's a final thought for you to really chew on, something that underlies all of this. The research suggests your external voice is pretty much just a reflection of your internal dialogue.
Your inner voice.
Yeah. So if you want to talk like a leader out loud, in the meeting room, on the stage, you first have to tackle the self-doubt, the weak talk inside your own head. So the question to ask yourself is my inner voice speaking with the kind of confidence and clarity I expect from myself in public? Because that, really, that's where the real training begins, long before you even open your mouth.